The sky above the remote Earth outpost was quiet and empty. At least it was supposed to be. Ethan Cole, a lonely engineer stationed at the edge of human space, stared at his radar in confusion. A strange object was falling fast from orbit, trailing fire across the night sky. It crashed into the desert with a deafening boom, shaking the ground under his feet. Dust rose like a giant wave. Ethan grabbed his rifle and sprinted toward the crash site, his heart pounding. When he reached the crater, his breath caught in his throat. It wasn't a meteor. It was a small alien escape pod, its metal twisted and scorched. The hatch hissed and popped open. A strange smell filled the air. Inside, Ethan saw something he had never expected. Two small alien cubs, no bigger than human toddlers, stared at him with wide, glowing eyes. Their fur was silver blue, their hands trembling as they clutched each other. One let out a pitiful cry, a sound of pure fear and pain. Ethan froze. These weren't dangerous soldiers or monsters. They were children. Before he could speak, a distant roar filled the sky. Ethan looked up and his stomach dropped. A massive alien warship was descending through the clouds, its shape like a jagged blade cutting the night apart. Its searchlights swept the desert, scanning for survivors. "Who are you running from, little ones?" Ethan whispered. The older cub whimpered and pointed at the sky. The warship's speakers crackled to life. A cold, commanding alien voice thundered, "Survivors of the royal pod, surrender immediately. Kill any who interfere." Ethan's blood turned cold. These cubs weren't just children. They were royalty. He didn't have time to think. He grabbed both cubs, cradling them against his chest, and sprinted toward his outpost. Behind him, the warship's searchlights locked onto his position. Plasma shots struck the sand around him, exploding into clouds of fire and smoke. He dove behind a boulder, gasping for breath. The younger cub clung to his neck, shaking. "Stay quiet," Ethan hissed. "I'll get you out of this." His outpost was hidden inside a canyon, but reaching it would mean crossing open ground. The warship's engines roared closer. Alien landing craft descended, their doors opening to reveal tall armored soldiers wielding energy spears. Ethan's mind raced. Earth had declared neutrality in the Galactic War. Humans were considered primitive by alien species, barely worth notice. If these soldiers found him helping the cubs, they might see it as an act of war, but leaving the cubs behind wasn't an option. He sprinted again, zigzagging to avoid the bright streaks of enemy fire. A plasma bolt grazed his shoulder, searing his jacket. He bit back a scream and kept running. At last, the canyon came into view. He dove into the entrance tunnel, sliding across the sand, and slammed his hand onto the control panel. Steel doors rumbled shut behind him. The outpost lights flickered to life, revealing a cramped but well-stocked hideout. Ethan set the cubs down and knelt before them. "You're safe now," he said, though his voice shook. The older cub looked at him with intelligent, fearful eyes. It spoke in broken galactic standard. "Bad men. Kill family." "Kill us next." Ethan's chest tightened. Their entire family, maybe even their whole royal ship, had been destroyed. These two were the only survivors. "Not while I'm here," he promised. He handed them blankets and some ration bars. The younger cub sniffed the food, then devoured it hungrily. Ethan quickly checked the scanners. The alien warship was still circling above, slowly sweeping the desert. They weren't giving up. He needed a plan. Maybe he could sneak the cubs to a human colony, somewhere far from this outpost. Maybe Earth Command would understand. But before he could even send a distress signal, the power flickered. An alarm blared. Something was moving outside. Ethan froze. The cubs whimpered and clutched his legs. Through the security feed, he saw dark shapes moving among the rocks. The aliens had found him. He grabbed his rifle and motioned for the cubs to hide in a storage compartment. The older one shook its head fiercely, tears shining in its eyes. But Ethan pushed them inside and locked the door. Heavy footsteps echoed through the tunnel as shadows stretched across the walls. Ethan aimed his rifle, sweat dripping down his forehead. The first alien soldier stepped into the light, its armor gleaming, its many eyes burning with hatred. The soldier hissed in its native tongue, then switched to galactic standard. "The traitor is here. Kill him!" Ethan fired. The shot hit the alien square in the chest, dropping it instantly. But more shadows appeared behind it, dozens of them, their weapons raised. Ethan's mind screamed at him to run, but there was nowhere left to go. The cubs' terrified cries echoed from the storage room. Outside, the alien warship's engines roared louder, shaking the walls. The entire outpost trembled as more landing craft touched down. The aliens weren't here for prisoners. They were here to wipe out everything. Ethan braced himself, knowing he couldn't win this fight. Still, he would fight. For the cubs. For Earth, for survival. The lead alien raised its spear and charged. The screen faded to black as the cubs screamed. Flames lit up the canyon like a burning sunrise. The outpost shook as alien soldiers stormed inside, weapons glowing red. Ethan Cole sprinted down a narrow maintenance tunnel, carrying the two alien cubs in his arms. Behind him, plasma blasts tore through walls, sending sparks raining down. The older cub shouted in panic, "Run! Faster! I'm trying!" Ethan gasped, lungs burning. He kicked open a sealed hatch and dove into a hidden underground hangar. Inside sat an old human scout ship, dusty and half-repaired. It wasn't meant for combat, but right now it was his only chance. He strapped the cubs into crash seats and slammed the cockpit controls. The ship's ancient engines roared to life, rattling the metal walls. The hangar doors creaked open, just as alien soldiers burst into view. Ethan slammed the throttle. The scout ship blasted out of the canyon, soaring into the night sky while enemy fire streaked past. As they broke through the clouds, Ethan caught a terrifying sight. The massive alien warship hovering above, its hull covered in glowing runes. Dozens of smaller fighters launched from its belly, swarming after him like hornets. "Hold on!" Ethan shouted, pulling hard on the controls. The cubs screamed as the ship spun wildly, dodging incoming fire. The scout ship's shields flickered weakly. It was fast, but nowhere near fast enough to outrun an entire alien fleet. "We need to hide," Ethan muttered, scanning for options. He dove into a field of jagged asteroids, weaving through the tumbling rocks, while enemy fighters crashed and exploded around him. For a brief moment, silence returned. The younger cub sniffled, tears streaking its silver-blue fur. The older cub sat stiffly, staring at Ethan. Why help us?" it asked in broken galactic standard. "Your people will die for this." Ethan didn't look back. "Because you're just kids, and because whoever wants you dead doesn't get to win." Before the cub could respond, the cockpit lights flared red. A holographic screen appeared, showing an alien council chamber filled with shouting leaders. At the center, a tall, armored alien pointed directly toward the camera. The alien's voice boomed, translated automatically into human speech. "Attention all systems. A primitive human has abducted the royal heirs of the Kalarn Empire. He is to be captured alive. His homeworld and all who aid him will be destroyed." The broadcast repeated across every channel, every frequency. Ethan's face appeared on the screen beside the cubs, labeled "Enemy of the Galaxy." The older cub's eyes widened in horror. They will hunt you forever now," Ethan gritted his teeth. "Then we'll just have to stay one step ahead." Far away, in a shining city among the stars, the Galactic Council gathered. Hundreds of alien races filled a massive chamber, their voices rising in chaos. One alien slammed its clawed fist on a glowing podium. "Earth must pay for this insult. Humans are primitives meddling in royal affairs." Another shouted, "The Kalarn heir must be returned. Destroy their world if needed." Only a few voices spoke for restraint, arguing that perhaps the human was protecting the cubs for a reason. But their voices were drowned out by the fury of war-hungry empires. Ethan checked the ship's map. They were deep in Kalarn space, surrounded by enemy territory. If he could just reach the neutral border, maybe he could contact Earth Command. Suddenly, alarms blared again. The alien warship had found them, emerging from hyperspace directly in front of them. Its sheer size filled the entire view screen. "Oh, come on!" Ethan yelled, slamming the controls. The scout ship dove sharply, but this time there was nowhere to run. Enemy fighters boxed him in on all sides. A deep, rumbling voice came over the comm channel. "Primitive humans, surrender immediately. Give us the heirs, and your death will be swift. Ethan glanced at the cubs. The younger one was sobbing. The older one clutched Ethan's sleeve, trembling. If you give us, maybe they let you live, it whispered, voice breaking. Ethan shook his head. No way, they'll kill you and me both. We're in this together. The warship's main cannon charged, glowing like a small sun. The alien voice returned, colder this time. You have made your choice. Fire. On Earth, deep inside a secret military bunker, human commanders watched the galactic broadcast in shock. For the first time, they saw Ethan's face and the cubs beside him. Dear God, one general whispered. They think he kidnapped alien royalty. If they believe this, the whole galaxy will turn on us. Another officer turned to a secure console. Do we activate the fleet, sir? The general hesitated. Not yet. If we show our hand too soon, it's all-out war. But if Ethan dies out there, humanity has no chance. Back in space, Ethan's ship shook violently as enemy weapons locked on. The cubs screamed, holding each other tightly. Ethan muttered under his breath, come on, don't fail me now. He hit every emergency power switch at once, overloading the engines. The scout ship lurched forward with a burst of impossible speed, ramming through the fighter formation. For a second, it seemed like they might escape. Then the shadow of the warship fell over them again. A beam of light struck the scout ship, disabling its engines completely. Ethan's cockpit went dark. He floated helplessly, surrounded by enemy ships. The alien voice spoke one last time, dripping with triumph. Target locked. Prepare to board. The cubs stared at Ethan with terrified eyes. Ethan, what do we do? The older one whispered. Ethan's jaw tightened. We fight. We never stop fighting. Just as the enemy boarding craft approached, a colossal human warship decloaked behind them, its size dwarfing everything else in space. Its voice boomed across every channel. This is the United Nations ship Resolute. Step away from the human vessel or be destroyed. The alien fleet froze in shock. So did Ethan. He had no idea Earth even had ships like this. The Resolute's weapons lit up like a blazing sun. The alien commander snarled, "Destroy them all!" The screen cut to black as hundreds of missiles streaked toward Ethan's tiny ship. Space exploded with light and fire. Hundreds of alien missiles streaked toward Ethan's crippled scout ship. The alien fleet roared forward, ready to capture him and the royal cubs. But then the colossal human warship, the UNS Resolute, moved. Its hull gleamed black and silver, covered with strange angular armor. The alien commanders froze in shock. Humans were supposed to be a primitive backwater species with no warships. This ship was bigger than anything they had seen in centuries. A deep human voice boomed across every channel. This is Admiral Marcus Kane of the United Nations Space Fleet. The human vessel is under our protection. Stand down immediately, or face annihilation. The aliens didn't stand down. They fired everything they had. 1,000 plasma bolts and torpedoes lit up the void like a storm of meteors. The Resolute's massive cannons roared to life. Beams of pure energy swept across space, cutting through alien fighters like paper. Missiles launched in perfect formations, exploding against enemy cruisers. In less than a minute, half the alien fleet was burning wreckage. Ethan sat in his cockpit, stunned. The cubs clutched each other, their wide, glowing eyes reflecting the light of battle. Are those humans? The older cub whispered. Ethan nodded slowly. Yeah, that's my people. The alien fleet fell back, but their flagship, the same one that had been hunting Ethan, refused to retreat. Its massive spines glowed as a planet-killer cannon charged. The alien commander snarled, "Primitive mammals. We will crush you." Admiral Kane's voice was calm but cold. "Fire main guns." The Resolute unleashed a single devastating blast. The alien flagship split apart in a fiery explosion, sending shockwaves rippling through the void. The remaining alien ships scattered and fled. The void went silent, except for the hum of the human engines. 2 sleek human escort ships docked with Ethan's scout ship and guided it toward the Resolute. Ethan could barely breathe as the massive hangar doors opened. Inside, hundreds of human soldiers stood in perfect formation, saluting. They wore black combat armor with the Earth symbol glowing on their chests. Ethan stepped out, still holding the cubs. The soldiers' faces showed a mix of awe and confusion. Most of them had never seen alien royalty before. Admiral Kane, a tall, stern man with grey hair, stepped forward. "Ethan Cole," he said, his voice deep and commanding. "You've caused quite a storm out here." Ethan scowled. "They attacked me first. These kids, they're the only survivors of whatever massacre just happened." The older cub spoke up in broken galactic standard. "We are heirs to the Kalarn Empire. Our family, killed by traitors." A ripple of shock went through the hangar. The human soldiers whispered urgently. Admiral Kane's face hardened. "That explains why an entire fleet was after you. The Kalarn are one of the oldest and most dangerous empires in the galaxy." The younger cub tugged on Ethan's arm, trembling. "They kill us too. To stop us from ruling." Ethan knelt beside them. "Not while I'm breathing." Far across the galaxy, the Galactic Council erupted in chaos. A hologram of the Resolute floated above the chamber. Dozens of alien leaders shouted at once, their voices filled with rage. "They have warships," one shrieked. "Humans were supposed to be primitive." Another pounded the floor with a clawed fist. "They destroyed a royal fleet. They are a threat to galactic order." The clan ambassador stood tall, its reptilian face twisted with fury. "The human species must be eradicated immediately. Earth is harboring royal fugitives and interfering with our empire." Only a few council members argued for peace, warning that attacking Earth could spark a galaxy-wide war. But their voices were drowned out by the war factions. The council's final decree echoed across the chamber. Earth will surrender the fugitives or face extermination. Back aboard the Resolute, Admiral Kane led Ethan through a secure command center. Dozens of holographic maps showed alien fleets moving toward Earth. Ethan's eyes widened. "How long have we had ships like this?" Kane gave a grim smile. "Humanity has been preparing in secret for decades. We knew the galaxy wouldn't ignore us forever, but even we didn't expect our first contact to start a royal crisis." He looked at the cubs, his expression softening slightly. "If these two really are royal heirs, we might be able to use them to negotiate peace." The older cub shook its head violently. "No, my people. They will never stop. They will kill us, then you, then Earth." Kane frowned. "Then we prepare for war." An alarm blared. A censor officer shouted, "Multiple alien fleets jumping into this sector. Hundreds of ships inbound." Kane slammed a button, launched the fleet. Across hidden bases on Earth's moon, Mars and deep space stations, giant human warships emerged from stealth fields. Sleek carriers, hulking dreadnoughts, and swarms of fighter craft moved into formation. For the first time in history, the United Nations Space Fleet revealed its full strength. Ethan stared at the display, stunned. "God, we built all this in secret?" Kane gave a grim nod. "And now the galaxy will see what humanity can do." The cubs huddled near Ethan, terrified as the lights flickered. The older one whispered, "They are coming. Not just for us. They will burn your world." Ethan turned sharply. "What do you mean?" The cub's voice shook. "The traitors who killed our family, they are sending the Doombringer, the Empire's greatest weapon. It will destroy your entire planet." Before Ethan could respond, a massive holographic image appeared on the command deck. It was the alien Emperor, his monstrous form towering over everyone. His voice thundered across the ship. "Humans, you have defied the Kalarn Empire. Surrender the heirs or watch Earth burn." The hologram vanished, replaced by a live feed of a planet-killer ship warping into nearby space. Its shadow blotted out the stars. Ethan gripped his rifle tightly. The cubs whimpered. Admiral Kane's voice was calm but fierce. "All ships prepare for battle. Humanity will not kneel." The screen cut to black as the Doombringer's superweapon began to charge. Space was on fire. The Doombringer, the Kalarn Empire's greatest warship, hovered like a black mountain among the stars. Its glowing red core pulsed, ready to fire a weapon that could burn an entire planet. On the UNS Resolute's bridge, alarms screamed. Admiral Kane stood tall, his jaw tight. "All hands battle stations!" The older alien cub clutched Ethan's sleeve, trembling. "They will kill everyone. That ship destroyed our palace. It destroyed our world." Ethan stared at the monstrous vessel through the viewport. It was larger than a city, with hundreds of gun batteries bristling along its hull. "Admiral," Ethan said, voice low. "We can't fight that thing head-on." Kane nodded grimly. "We don't have to yet. We stall them and get you and the heirs to safety." The alien emperor's hologram suddenly appeared in the center of the bridge. His reptilian face filled the air, his voice a terrible growl. "Humans, your defiance ends today. Hand over the royal fugitives, or your homeworld will be turned to ash." Ethan stepped forward, fists clenched. "You killed their family. You tried to murder 2 children. You don't deserve to rule anything." The Emperor's golden eyes narrowed. "Primitive mammal. You will die screaming." The hologram vanished, leaving only the glow of the Doombringer's charging weapon. Far across the galaxy, the Galactic Council met in emergency session. A massive hologram of Earth floated above the chamber, glowing red as a target. Alien ambassadors shouted, their voices echoing like thunder. "Earth is harboring royal fugitives," one snarled. "They are a danger to the balance of power," another hissed. "Destroy their world before they rise any further." A few ambassadors tried to speak of peace, but they were drowned out by the crowd. The Kalan ambassador slammed a clawed fist on the podium. "The humans have already attacked our fleets and killed our soldiers. They must surrender the fugitives or face total extermination." The chamber erupted in cheers and war chants. Finally, the Council's ruling voice echoed across every star system. "Earth is hereby declared an enemy of the galaxy. All member races are ordered to attack without mercy." On the Resolute, Ethan watched as human communications lit up with distress calls. Alien fleets were already attacking border colonies. The war had begun. Admiral Kane turned to Ethan. "This is what I feared. Once the galaxy saw our strength, they were always going to come for us." Ethan glared at the star map. "Then let's make sure they regret it." The older cub tugged his sleeve. "They will send assassins," it whispered. "They did it to our palace." "They will do it here." Ethan frowned. "What assassins?" The cub's silver-blue fur bristled. "They are called Shadow Fangs. Elite killers who can hide in the dark, even from sensors." Before Ethan could respond, the lights flickered. A cold wind swept through the corridor. And then came a sound, a hiss like a blade sliding free. Red emergency lights snapped on. The bridge doors sealed automatically. An urgent voice crackled over the intercom. "Security breach on Deck 7. Intruders on board." Ethan's blood ran cold. "They're here." He grabbed his rifle and motioned for the cubs to hide behind a control panel. Admiral Kane drew his sidearm. "Protect the heirs at all costs." The soldiers moved through the corridors, scanning every shadow. But the assassins moved like ghosts. The Doombringer's superweapon glowed like a newborn star. Its crimson light flooded the bridge of the UNS Resolute, casting long, twisted shadows. Ethan's heart pounded as the assassin pressed its razor-sharp claw against the younger cub's throat. The older cub screamed, trying to rush forward, but Ethan grabbed them back. "Stay behind me!" Ethan shouted, sweat dripping down his face. The assassin's voice was cold and steady. "The heirs will die unless you hand them over. Choose now, human." Admiral Kane aimed his pistol, his finger tense on the trigger. "Stand down," Kane growled. "You won't leave this ship alive." The assassin tilted its head, almost amused. "Neither will you." Suddenly the lights went out completely, plunging the room into total darkness. A scream rang out. The sound of claws slashing and metal clanging echoed through the chamber. When the emergency lights came back on, the assassin was gone. The younger cub was lying on the floor, unharmed but terrified. Blood streaked the walls. A single human guard lay dead, his throat cut. But something was wrong. His weapon was missing. Ethan spun toward Kane. "They're playing with us. There's more than one assassin." Kane's face hardened. "No, they're getting help from someone inside this ship." Before they could react, the Resolute rocked violently. The Doombringer fired a partial blast, its energy tearing through nearby asteroids. The shockwave threw everyone to the ground. "Report!" Kane barked into his headset. "Shields at 40%. A voice replied, "Multiple hull breaches on decks 5 through 8. Ethan scooped up the cubs. "We need to get them somewhere safe," Kane nodded. "There's a hidden panic chamber near engineering. Only a handful of people know about it. Follow me." They sprinted through smoke-filled corridors. Alarms blared. Soldiers fought desperately against more Shadowfang assassins lurking in the darkness. At one point, Ethan turned a corner and saw a human soldier firing on his own team. The traitor's face was pale, eyes filled with guilt and fear. Before Ethan could raise his rifle, Kane shot the traitor cleanly in the chest. The Admiral didn't even slow down. "Saboteurs!" he spat. They must have been planted months ago. At last, they reached the panic chamber, a small, heavily armored room deep inside the ship. The walls were lined with emergency supplies, medkits, and survival gear. Kane locked the door with a special code. "This room is shielded. Even scanners can't detect it." The younger cub curled up in Ethan's arms, trembling. The older cub finally spoke, its voice hoarse. "We told you, the Emperor will never stop. He will kill everyone, even his own people, to keep his throne." Ethan knelt beside them. "I don't care who he is. You're safe now. I'll protect you no matter what." The older cub's glowing eyes filled with tears. "You sound like our father." "Before he died..." Ethan's throat tightened, but before he could respond, Kane's communicator beeped. "Admiral, this is engineering. We've got sabotage. Someone's shutting down the main reactor." Kane cursed. "If they take down our power core, the Resolute will be dead in space." He turned to Ethan. "Stay here. Keep the heirs safe." "No way," Ethan said fiercely. "You'll need backup." The older cub stepped forward, defiant despite trembling. "We come too." Ethan shook his head. "Absolutely not. It's too dangerous." But the cub's jaw tightened. "We are royal heirs. We fight for our people. And yours." Kane gave a small, respectful nod. "Very well. Stay close." Engineering was chaos. Flames erupted from broken pipes. Human engineers scrambled to keep systems online. At the center of the room stood a figure in a black command uniform. Kane froze, his eyes widening. "Captain Varys," he said. "You're supposed to be commanding the flank defense." Varys turned slowly, his face twisted with guilt. "I'm sorry, Admiral," he said softly. "I never wanted this. But my family is on a Kalan-controlled world. They said they'd kill them if I didn't help." Ethan's grip on his rifle tightened. "You're the traitor. You let the assassins in." Varys nodded miserably. "I didn't know they would go this far. But it's too late now. You can't stop them." As he spoke, the reactor alarm screamed. A massive countdown appeared on the wall. 2, 159. 158. Varys raised his hands, tears in his eyes. "They rigged it to overload." "I can't stop it." Kane's voice was like ice. "Then we'll do it ourselves." Ethan and Kane sprinted to the reactor controls, while engineers scrambled around them. The older cub climbed onto a console, surprisingly skilled, entering codes with rapid precision. 30 seconds. An engineer shouted. Sweat dripped down Ethan's face as he pulled wires and cut circuits. The cub yelled, "Almost there!" The countdown reached 5 seconds. Ethan slammed a final lever down. The timer froze at 0001. The room erupted in relieved cheers, but their celebration didn't last. A new alarm blared. The main screen flickered, showing a chilling message in alien runes. The younger cub translated, voice trembling. It says, "While you save this ship, another fleet attacks your homeworld." Ethan's stomach dropped. Earth. In a distant star system, near Earth's moon, hundreds of alien warships appeared in flashes of light. They formed a ring around Earth, blocking every escape route. On the ground, human cities panicked as air raid sirens wailed. Massive holograms projected the alien Emperor's face into the skies. "People of Earth," the Emperor declared, "you are insects beneath the feet of the Klarn Empire. Your world will burn unless the fugitives are returned immediately." Earth's hidden defense stations activated. Colossal human warships rose from the oceans and deserts, their weapons glowing bright. For the first time, the full human fleet was revealed to the galaxy. One appeared behind a guard, slitting his throat before vanishing into the dark. Screams echoed through the ship. Flashes of plasma fire lit the narrow halls. The younger cub cried out in terror. Ethan fought hand-to-hand with a shadow fang that seemed more beast than man. Its claws tore through his jacket, grazing his ribs. He barely managed to shoot it point-blank, sending it tumbling into the darkness. "Why are they after kids?" Ethan shouted, panting. The older cub answered, voice shaking. "Because if we live, we inherit the throne. Our uncle, the Emperor, wants no witnesses." "No rivals," Ethan's eyes widened. "The Emperor is their uncle?" The cub nodded, tears streaking its fur. "Yes, and he will burn your world to hide his crimes." Kane's voice boomed through the intercom. "All hands, repel boarders. Do not let them reach the heirs." Ethan grabbed both cubs and ran toward the secure vault at the center of the ship. Behind him, assassins hissed and shrieked, their blades flashing in the red light. One assassin leaped at them, only to be blasted apart by Kane's pistol. The Admiral appeared, covered in blood and scorch marks. "We have to get you to the command core," he barked. "It's the safest place left." As they ran, the ship shook violently. The Doombringer was firing warning shots, hammering the Resolute's shields. An officer's voice came over the radio. "Admiral, our shields won't hold much longer." Kane gritted his teeth. "Then we buy time." They reached the command core, a secure chamber of glowing blue walls. For a brief moment they thought they were safe. Then the lights flickered again. Ethan felt a cold breath on the back of his neck. He spun around, and his heart froze. A single assassin stood inside the room, its claws inches from the younger cub's throat. It had somehow bypassed every lock and sensor. The assassin hissed in perfect galactic standard. "Give me the heirs, human, or watch them die." Ethan raised his rifle, but the assassin pressed its claw deeper against the cub's skin. The older cub screamed, "No! Don't hurt him!" At that moment, the entire ship lurched. On the main screen, the Doombringer's superweapon fully charged, a glowing red sphere ready to fire. The Emperor's voice echoed across every channel. "Time is up, humans. Surrender now, or Earth will burn." The screen cut to black as Ethan faced an impossible choice. Fight the assassin and risk the cubs' lives, or surrender and doom Earth itself. Back aboard the Resolute, Kane stared at the tactical screen in horror. "Earth is under siege. If we don't return in time, they'll destroy the planet." The older cub grabbed Ethan's hand. "You must choose. Save your people, or save us." Ethan's chest tightened. He looked at Kane, then at the cubs, torn apart inside. Before he could answer, the entire ship shook violently. A massive shadow fell across the viewport. The Doombringer had moved closer, its superweapon glowing brighter than ever. The Emperor's voice roared across the channel. "It is over, humans. Surrender now, or watch your homeworld turn to ash." The screen cut to black as the superweapon fired, and a beam of pure destruction streaked toward Earth. The Doombringer's superweapon fired. A colossal red beam tore through the void, streaking toward Earth like a wrathful comet. On Earth's surface, people screamed. Air raid sirens wailed as city lights flickered. Parents clutched their children while soldiers sprinted to battle stations. But just before the beam reached Earth, a shimmering blue shield appeared around the planet. The beam struck it, exploding into a fiery storm. The shield held, barely. On the Resolute's bridge, Admiral Kane gripped the railing. "They've revealed our planetary shield," he growled. "But it won't last another hit." Ethan's fists clenched. "We have to get there now." The older cub stared at the tactical display, its voice sharp and royal. "Humans, if you fall, the galaxy falls. My uncle must be stopped." The younger cub clung to Ethan's arm, whispering, "Don't let them hurt your home, like they hurt ours." Kane turned to his crew. "All hands, prepare for emergency jump. We're going to Earth." The Resolute's engines roared. Blue light filled the bridge as the ship entered slipspace. Other human warships joined them, massive carriers, destroyers, and frigates. The entire human fleet, thousands strong, leapt into the void. Ethan watched the swirling lights outside the viewport, his heart racing. He had been a soldier on the ground before, but this was war on a galactic scale. Kane spoke quietly beside him. will arrive in the middle of their fleet. It's a suicide run unless we hit them hard and fast, Ethan swallowed. Then we don't hesitate. The older cub approached Kane, bowing slightly. My people's royal fleet had special formations for battles like this. I can advise you, Kane nodded respectfully. Then you're part of the command team. The countdown hit 0. The Resolute and the human fleet dropped out of slipspace and straight into hell. Space around Earth burned with fire and plasma. Hundreds of alien warships surrounded the planet, arranged in a deadly sphere. Their weapons glowed like angry suns. The human fleet appeared in a tight wedge formation. Fire everything! Kane roared. Human warships unleashed devastating salvos. Beams of blue plasma and nuclear-tipped missiles slammed into the alien blockade, shredding dozens of ships in the first strike. The aliens responded instantly. A rain of energy blasts and torpedoes filled the void. The Resolute shook violently as enemy fire hammered its shields. Ethan clutched the railing, teeth gritted. Keep firing! Don't let them regroup. The older cub shouted commands in its native tongue, guiding human ships into perfect positions. The formation began to turn the tide, carving a bloody path toward Earth. But then the Doombringer arrived. It emerged from hyperspace like a black mountain, blotting out the stars. Its superweapon core glowed ominously. Kane's face went pale. All ships scatter. Do not let it charge. The Emperor's hologram appeared on every human ship. His golden eyes gleamed with hatred. You humans are clever, but predictable. You gathered your entire fleet to defend your world, and now you will die together. As he spoke, hundreds more alien ships warped in from hidden positions. They surrounded the humans on all sides. Ethan's stomach dropped. It's a trap. Kane slammed his fist on the console. They let us come to Earth, just so they could destroy our entire fleet in one strike. The older cub snarled, its fur bristling. My uncle has no honor. He will slaughter billions for power. Ethan turned to Kane, fire in his eyes. Then we kill him first. Kane hesitated. The Doombringer's core powers the superweapon. If we destroy it, the enemy fleet will fall into chaos. But it's suicide, an officer protested. That ship is a fortress. Ethan stepped forward. I'll lead the strike team. Kane stared at him. You're a ground soldier, not a pilot. Exactly, Ethan said fiercely. I know how to fight inside ships where they least expect it. The older cub grabbed Ethan's hand. I'm coming with you. No, Ethan said sharply. You both stay here. The cub's glowing eyes blazed. You saved us. Now we save your people. Kane exhaled slowly, then made his decision. Very well. You three will take a stealth shuttle and infiltrate the Doombringer. The fleet will distract the enemy as long as we can. The small stealth shuttle slipped through the chaos of battle, weaving between explosions and wreckage. The Doombringer loomed ahead, its hull covered in glowing alien runes. As they approached a maintenance bay, alarms blared inside the enemy ship. They had been detected. Brace yourselves, Ethan shouted. The shuttle slammed into the bay with a deafening crash. Ethan kicked open the hatch, blaster in hand. Shadowfang assassins were already waiting. The fight was brutal. Ethan tore through the assassins with precision strikes, while the older cub used its claws to slash enemies apart. The younger cub hid behind cover, providing tactical directions from a stolen datapad. Finally, they secured the bay. We're in, Ethan panted. Now we find the core. Back aboard the Resolute, Kane's fleet fought desperately. Ships exploded one after another, lighting space with fire. Suddenly, a new transmission came through, encrypted human codes. Admiral, a communications officer said, confused. It's from Captain Varys. But he's dead. Kane's eyes narrowed. Put it through. The hologram of Varys appeared, smirking. Oh, I'm very much alive, Admiral. And I've just sealed your fate. On the tactical display, half the human fleet turned their weapons on their own allies. Kane's voice was a roar of rage. Traitors! Varys laughed. The Emperor promised me Earth, and I will rule it in his name. Back inside the Doombringer, Ethan froze as a massive blast rocked the ship. The younger cub checked the datapad and gasped. The human fleet is attacking itself. Ethan's blood ran cold. "No, it's a coup!" The older cub snarled, eyes burning with fury. "Your people are tearing each other apart. While my uncle watches." Ethan tightened his grip on his rifle. "Then we finish this. We kill the Emperor, or everyone dies." As they charged deeper into the Doombringer's dark halls, the superweapon core began to glow brighter. Seconds away from firing again, the screen cut to black. Inside the Doombringer, alarms screamed like tortured beasts. Red emergency lights cast twisted shadows across the vast alien corridors. Ethan ran at full speed, his rifle raised, the royal cubs close behind. The older cub's claws dripped with dark alien blood, its fur streaked with soot. Behind them, Shadowfang assassins gave chase, hissing and snarling. The younger cub shouted directions, staring at the glowing datapad. "Left ahead! The core chamber is this way!" Suddenly, a massive blast shook the entire ship. The deck buckled. Ethan slammed into a wall, nearly dropping his rifle. The older cub's voice was urgent. "That was the super weapon charging. If it fires again, Earth's shield will fail." Ethan gritted his teeth and pushed forward. "Then we stop it before it fires." But even as he spoke, another voice echoed through the corridors, smooth, cruel, and all too familiar. "Run, little humans. Run as fast as you like. I will still crush your world beneath my heel." The Emperor's voice, the older cub's fur, bristled. "Uncle!" Far above Earth, chaos reigned. The human fleet was tearing itself apart as Varys's traitor faction turned on their allies. Flashes of blue and red plasma lit the void like dying stars. On the Resolute's bridge, Admiral Kane shouted orders. "Hold the line! Loyal ships, regroup on my signal." An officer cried out, "Admiral, half our communications are jammed. We can't tell who's friend or foe." Kane's jaw tightened. "They'll kill each other unless we act fast." Then Varys's hologram appeared again, smug and mocking. "Kane, you're a relic of a dead world. The Emperor offers me Earth, while you waste your life defending it." Kane's fist clenched. "You sold your soul for power, Varys. But I'll stop you, even if I have to burn you out of the stars," Varys sneered. "Try it." Ethan, the cubs, and a small strike team moved through the ship's dark alien halls. Every corner was a trap. Assassins dropped from ceilings, their claws flashing. Ethan shot one point blank, then kicked another into a reactor pit. The older cub fought fiercely beside him, moving with deadly grace. "You fight like one of us," it panted. "Maybe that's why you survived when no one else did." Ethan didn't answer. He just reloaded and pushed forward. Finally, they reached a massive set of black doors covered in glowing runes. The younger cub's voice trembled. "This is it, the core chamber." But as they approached, the doors slid open on their own. Beyond them lay a colossal sphere of red energy, the superweapon core, pulsing like a beating heart, and standing before it was the Emperor himself. The Emperor was even more terrifying in person. He stood 3 meters tall, his golden scales shining like molten metal. A black cape flowed behind him, and his claws gleamed like knives. At his feet knelt dozens of Shadowfang assassins, their heads bowed. The Emperor's golden eyes fixed on Ethan, then on the cubs. "Ah, the lost heirs. I was so close to wiping you from existence." The older cub stepped forward, trembling with rage. "You killed our parents. You destroyed our world. We will see you fall." The Emperor laughed, a deep, chilling sound. "You are children playing at war, and this human," he sneered at Ethan, "is nothing but a pet you use for protection." Ethan raised his rifle, voice cold. "I've killed better monsters than you." The Emperor's smile faded. "Then die proving it." The chamber exploded into chaos. Ethan's team opened fire as assassins charged. Energy bolts streaked through the air, lighting the room in bursts of red and blue. Ethan faced the Emperor directly. The alien ruler moved impossibly fast, dodging every shot. With one swipe of his claw, he sent Ethan flying across the chamber. Meanwhile, the cubs fought side by side, defending each other. The younger cub hacked into the core's systems, shouting updates. "The weapon is 90% charged. We're running out of time." The older cub screamed, slashing at assassins with a fury born of grief. Ethan staggered to his feet, blood in his mouth. He grabbed a fallen plasma blade and charged the Emperor head-on. Back in orbit, Kane watched the fleet collapse. Human warships were falling one by one. "Admiral, we can't hold!" An officer shouted. Kane made a terrible choice. "Signal all loyal ships. We're ramming the traitors. Better to die free than serve the Emperor." The Resolute surged forward, its massive engines blazing. It plowed through enemy lines, tearing traitor ships apart in suicidal strikes. But even as they fought, the Doombringer's core glowed brighter. Kane's eyes widened. If Ethan fails, none of this matters. Inside the core chamber, Ethan clashed with the Emperor. Their blades sparked with every strike. Ethan fought with pure rage, but the Emperor was stronger, faster, and utterly ruthless. "You think you fight for humanity," the Emperor hissed. "But you're only paving the way for your species' destruction," Ethan spat blood. "Not while I'm breathing." The Emperor suddenly laughed, even as Ethan's blade nicked his scales. "Breathing? Oh, human, you never understood." He pointed to the glowing core. "This weapon was never meant to destroy Earth. It will enslave it." Ethan froze, stunned. "What?" "Once it fires, every living mind will bend to my will," the Emperor said proudly. "Your fleet will serve me. Your people will kneel. And your precious heirs will rule beside me, or die." The older cub screamed in fury and leapt at him. The Emperor caught it by the throat mid-air, lifting it effortlessly. The younger cub screamed, "No!" It slammed its tiny fist on the control panel, desperately trying to shut the weapon down. Suddenly, a new figure appeared in the doorway. Ethan turned, relief flashing across his face. "Kane, you made it!" But it wasn't Kane. It was Captain Varys. His uniform was torn, his face burned, but his eyes gleamed with ambition. "Step aside, Ethan," Varys said coldly. "The Emperor promised me Earth, and I intend to collect." Ethan's stomach dropped. You sided with him?" Varys smiled darkly. "Not with him. With whoever wins," the Emperor laughed. "Wise words. Perhaps humans are not as foolish as I thought." At that moment, the countdown reached its final stage, 0010. "Yes, do we?" Ethan screamed, charging forward to save the older cub. But Varys raised his weapon, aimed not at the Emperor, but at Ethan. The screen cut to black as a gunshot echoed through the chamber. The chamber echoed with a deafening gunshot. Ethan staggered backward, clutching his side. Blood seeped through his uniform. The older cub screamed, "Ethan, no!" Captain Varys lowered his smoking blaster, a cold smile on his face. "You were always a fool, Ethan, fighting for ideals instead of power." The Emperor's deep laugh rolled through the chamber like thunder. "Excellent. With you two at my side, the galaxy will kneel." But Varys turned to the Emperor, his voice icy. "I don't kneel to anyone. Earth is mine." Before either could react, Varys fired at the Emperor's face. The beam splashed harmlessly against the Emperor's shimmering shield. The alien ruler struck Varys with a single backhand blow, sending him crashing into a wall. "Pathetic," the Emperor snarled. "You are not even worth killing." The countdown clock blared, 007. 06. Ethan forced himself to his feet, gasping in pain. He locked eyes with the older cub. We have to finish this now." The Emperor lunged forward, claws flashing. Ethan met him head-on, slashing with his plasma blade. Sparks filled the air as metal met alien scale. The older cub leapt onto the Emperor's back, biting and clawing with primal fury. The younger cub frantically worked the control panel, tears streaming down its fur. "I'm trying to stop the weapon," the younger cub cried, but he locked it from his command throne. Ethan ducked under a claw strike that would have taken his head off. "Then we destroy it manually," the Emperor roared, throwing the older cub across the room. "You think you can kill me, human? I'm a god." Ethan spat blood and charged again. "No, you're just a tyrant." Above Earth, the human fleet was nearly broken. Admiral Kane's Resolute burned from dozens of impacts, its shields flickering. Admiral, traitor ships closing in. An officer yelled, "We're surrounded." Kane gripped the command chair, refusing to yield. "We hold the line. Even if we die, we buy Ethan time." Varys's loyalist fleet transmitted one final mocking message. "Earth will be ours." Long live the Emperor, Kane's eyes narrowed. Not today. The Resolute turned directly toward the traitor flagship and accelerated. Ramming speed! Kane shouted. The crew saluted, tears in their eyes. For Earth! They cried. The Resolute smashed into the enemy flagship, igniting a chain of explosions that tore through dozens of nearby vessels. The shockwave rippled across the battlefield, giving loyal human ships one last chance to fight back. Inside the Doombringer, Ethan was battered, bruised, and bleeding. The Emperor loomed over him, victorious. Your people are broken, the Emperor hissed. Your fleet burns. Your planet will be mine. Ethan glanced at the glowing superweapon core behind the Emperor. A desperate idea formed in his mind. He whispered to the older cub, "Get your brother to safety." No matter what, the cub's glowing eyes widened in horror. What are you planning? Just trust me, Ethan said, forcing a weak smile. Before the Emperor could strike, Ethan grabbed a plasma grenade from his belt and charged straight at the core. The Emperor roared in fury. No! Claws slashed into Ethan's back, but he didn't stop. He slammed the grenade against the core's surface and wrapped his arms around it. Ethan looked back one last time at the cubs. Live, for both our worlds. The grenade detonated. A blinding blue-white explosion engulfed the chamber. The Emperor screamed as his shield shattered, his body torn apart by the blast. The shockwave ripped through the entire Doombringer. Systems failed. Fire erupted everywhere. The older cub dragged the younger one toward the escape pod bay, tears streaming down its face. No, Ethan, come with us! But when the smoke cleared, Ethan was gone. Only a burning crater remained where he had stood. The countdown clock went dark. The weapon was destroyed. The cubs were thrown into an escape pod as the Doombringer's hull cracked apart. The pod launched into space just as the massive warship imploded, taking the Emperor and thousands of his followers with it. The human fleet saw the explosion and rallied. Leaderless and panicked, the alien armada began to retreat. The remaining traitor humans surrendered or were destroyed. On Earth, billions cheered as the skies cleared. The war was over. Admiral Kane, badly wounded but alive, limped into the command center of a surviving cruiser. His face fell when he saw only the two cubs emerge from their escape pod. "Where's Ethan?" Kane asked, though he already knew the answer. The older cub's voice broke. "He saved us. He saved everyone." Kane saluted the empty sky. Then he died as a hero of humanity. Weeks later, the Galactic Council met again. This time, it was different. The two cubs stood proudly at the center of the chamber, wearing royal ceremonial armor. Behind them stood Kane and a small delegation of human officers. The older cub addressed the council, its young voice steady but commanding. "The tyrant who ruled our empire is dead. His crimes are ended. My people will rebuild, and we will stand with humanity." Gasps filled the chamber. An alliance between humans and a former enemy was unprecedented. Kane stepped forward. Ethan Price gave his life to prove that humans are not a threat, but a hope for the galaxy. Honor his sacrifice, or face our wrath. The council bowed their heads. One by one, alien delegates pledged peace. Later, aboard a small shuttle orbiting Earth, the cubs stared out at the blue planet below. The younger cub whispered, "Do you think Ethan would be proud?" The older cub nodded, tears shining in its glowing eyes. "Yes, but I wish he were here." Suddenly, the ship's sensors beeped. A small escape pod drifted among the wreckage of the Doombringer. The pod opened with a hiss. Inside, barely alive but breathing, was Ethan. His voice was hoarse, but he managed a weak grin. "Miss me?" The cubs screamed with joy and hugged him tightly. Kane's voice crackled over the radio, full of disbelief and relief. "Ethan, welcome home." The final scene zoomed out, showing Earth shining brightly, surrounded by human warships and allied alien vessels. For the first time, humanity was not alone. A narrator's voice echoed, "One soldier, one choice, saved two worlds. Humanity has risen, and the galaxy will never be the same."